Welcome back to the We Grow Together podcast. I'm Laura DiFrancesco, founder of Dean Street Law, Flourish Co-working Space, Ethereal Farms, Laura DiFrancesco LLC, and a number of other companies, a serial entrepreneur and attorney who has closed over $10 billion of transactions since founding Dean Street Law 5 years ago. So I'm very passionate about sharing what's going on with my business, everything that I know to help you in your life and career and business. And today I want to talk about something that is, to my knowledge, not talked about enough. And this is because this is a new venture for me in an interesting way. So if you don't know, I was in an accident almost a month ago and got a severe concussion. I was hauling my trailer with my horse in it, and he broke his hip and has it like completely two parts of his hip. And one of the parts of his hip that's supposed to be on his hip is in his flank. So we got hit pretty hard. We were T-boned. We were driving on a main road. Someone was coming from a side road, not familiar with the area, blew the stop sign. And I was already basically through the intersection, hence why she hit the trailer at like 30, 45 miles an hour. And Chief and myself were very happy to be alive, happy to be okay, however we define that. Walking, talking, he's able to walk as well. We're not sure what's going to happen with him in terms of, is he going to be able to trot and canter and jump and all of these things. And for me, I've had a serious concussion. I have, for the last month, had migraines for almost all day, every day. At this point, it is not quite all day, thankfully. It's just more like as soon as I start moving, I'll get a headache again. So it's been pretty serious for us. And I didn't really understand. We talked about it in the last episode. So if you want to hear more about like kind of going through and navigating the ups and downs of life, that's our last episode. And today I want to kind of talk about how you can approach having a concussion, because I did not know historically much about concussions at all. I think there's a lot of misinformation about concussions. There's just a lot of old data and science out there about concussions. So I figured we would take the time today to talk about concussions, to talk about how we heal from concussions, what happens when you have a concussion, how to identify it, and how to heal yourself from a concussion or help yourself heal from a concussion. So that's kind of the conversation today. I'm also going to be talking about how do we manage 5 businesses with a concussion, or how do you continue managing a heavy load of responsibility when you're down. So that's kind of like the topic of today. Thought it'd be interesting to talk about. I think it's important to, as I'm going through life and business, to the extent I'm comfortable, sharing with you what I'm going through and talking about how I'm navigating it, because the world moves quickly. We all go through a lot of things. And I think it's important to see not only what I'm going through, but also sharing what I'm learning from it as well. Alrighty, so to start, let's talk about how to identify if you have a concussion. So I'm going to go through some of the typical things that you may experience with a concussion. So headache, maybe persistent or severe, whole body, fatigue, blackout, poor balance, cognitive confusion, disorientation, amnesia, memory loss, sleep disturbances or sleepiness, nausea or vomiting, irritability, mild depression, ringing in the ears, sensitivity to sound, sensitivity to light. A lot of folks are able to self-diagnose if you have a concussion. I would recommend, if you have a concussion, immediately to go to urgent care, because even if you know you have a concussion and you feel like you'll get through it, I think it's really important for them, one, for you to document it, especially if you're in an accident or something like that, but also because they're able to actually give you so much more care than I think you would ever expect and know. So what I did was I went to urgent care. I was obviously diagnosed with concussion, neck and back pain. They gave me medicine to help with like inflammation a lot. That can help a lot. And then I also went to after my headaches continued for over a week, I went to my primary care doctor. Of course, they're going to tell you at urgent care, if your headaches continue, be sure to see your doctor. I saw my doctor. They did like a whole concussion test on me. And then also referred me to a physical therapist with concussion management program. And this is the point where I have learned so much that I had no idea about. So first off, you can get a concussion by force to your head, right? You hitting your head. Now it takes, let me give you the approximate facts and figures. According to research, it takes 70 to 120 Gs to have a concussion, to create a concussion, to cause a concussion. Whereas if you have whiplash to the neck, it only requires 4.5 Gs, which is astonishing because I did not hit my head, don't believe I hit my head during the accident, but I have a very significant concussion. And I didn't really understand that because I walked away from the accident. And so that was really hard for me to wrap my head around. I've never really had a serious concussion before, so I really have never experienced this and didn't know really like what was going on and why everything was continuing. And then I also really had no idea how much it would impact me. And it has impacted me tremendously. That's kind of why I think it's so important to see the specialists, to talk to people, because they know so much more than we do. And that's their area of expertise, which I have a lot of respect for. As a mergers and acquisitions attorney and as a contract attorney, I like run circles around other attorneys that are not specializing in mergers and acquisitions. And I run circles around most people who are dealing with contracts and don't know anything about contracts. And so, of course, someone who specializes in concussions is going to run circles around me and actually teach me what I need to know about concussions, which is how significantly they can impact you and what's normal and what's not normal. And so it's a brain injury, a concussion. And originally, research had shown, and this is all according to my physical therapist, so we're trusting that she's right. I'm not independently verifying all of this. But originally we thought that like there's fluid in the brain, and actually this is what like a couple of the urgent care people told me. So this may be misinformation. It may be different in different situations. I don't really know. I'm going to put it out there. You can do your own research. But so she told me originally a lot of people thought that we got concussions because the brain is held in fluid. And so when the brain impacts the skull, it causes like inflammation. But actually what happens is that when you have sudden movement, whether it be from a direct hit or from whiplash, it stretches the cells. And so when the cells are stretched, they're compromised. And so they're not functioning as they would normally. And so that to me was absolutely mind-blowing, no pun intended, because I really truly had no idea like what my brain was going through. And even though I've been very responsive to my body's needs, I'm always paying attention to what it needs and giving it what it needs and going slower and resting more, I understand it so much more. And now the physical therapy that I'm doing for my brain to recover is making so much more sense. So it's little things. First off, like I have not felt good for the last month. I have not been walking my farm. I've barely been like, James is a saint. He's been taking care of the animals. He's been doing like so much of the farm chores and helping so much with the house and everything. So I've been very limited because I'm absolutely exhausted. I've had a migraine for a month. It has not felt good. I also have really significant memory loss, like really, really significant short-term memory loss. Like my team, my poor team, I have been repeating conversations, and then a half hour into a conversation about something, I'm like, did we talk about this? Like, yeah, we talked about this last week. I'm like, I literally did not remember at all, but for like a half hour into a conversation, being like, this feels like deja vu. And so I did not understand the amount that short-term memory loss would impact me, dizziness, balance. I have been like, I have fallen down twice, like pretty significantly since the concussion. And everyone's like, oh, these things happen. And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I think this is literally because I just don't have the same balance that I used to. I don't have the same reaction time that I used to. And it's hard because objectively, a lot of my testing will still be in like the high normal range. So, like, when you're tested, you're compared to the nation's average. Okay, but we also know that if we were to compare me to the nation's average on a lot of different things, my normal would be very different than the nation's average, let alone the fact that I ride horses, I'm an athlete, I'm running 5 businesses. Like, my normal is very, very high above the nation's average. Discover Flourish Co-working Space, where your best ideas come to life in a lush, sustainable, and inspiring environment. Nestled in the heart of Westchester, Pennsylvania, Flourish is more than a workspace. It's a community that nurtures your growth. Whether you're an entrepreneur, creative, or professional, you'll find the perfect setting to thrive or host events. Come as you are, and let's grow together. Book your tour today and start flourishing. For the most part, we're talking like performance. I would say my performance is generally significantly higher than the nation's average. But like some of these things, the goal is to be lower, right? On the things that I'm being tested on for like my balance and my ability to do certain things. And so whereas the high point would mean like significant issues, I'm at the, nation's average very high or over it, which means that probably I am absolutely flooring all of my typical numbers. So like we're doing like balance tests and all these things. And I was like, I just want to let you know, like on a normal basis, you can turn a Bosu ball upside down and I'll stand on the black part with one foot and another foot in the air and hold it for 30 seconds. Like my balance is unreal. In addition to that, I ride horses, at which point I'm looking at things that are moving, the horse under me is moving, and I'm stabilizing. So my balance is very, very, very good. And so for me to be testing at like, if you're thinking about that being good, then below average of the nation, then we're talking about really significant deviations from my norm. And there's no like tests against like other athletes, for instance, or like where my normal had been prior to the accident. So it's interesting because a lot of people see me, and even the tests show that I am not well, but like compared to the nation's average, which would be horrible compared to my average, if that makes any sense. And that's why I'm having so much trouble with really understanding the impacts of this, because like I'm trying to go around and like I can walk, but I'm not realizing that my reaction time is off, my balance is off, and it's off enough that like I'm having significant falls and like getting a black eye and busted lip. And, just this past weekend, I had a significant fall down the stairs where I got scraped up on my elbow. Oh, here you go. You can't really see it as much with this lighting. I have like a bruise on my back. I jammed my shoulder. So it's been a rough go for the last month. It's been a really rough go. I think memory and the migraines are the worst part of it, because so the physical therapist told me at first, for the first week, do 20-minute walks, and I should stop if like my migraine goes 2 levels up. So that's kind of like our baseline of what activity I should do and what activity I shouldn't do is if it causes my pain to increase by at least 2, stop. And so it was really tough because like walking around and moving, like if I were to get up right now, my migraine is going to increase more than 2-fold. And so trying to move really slow, trying to just like give my body more reaction time, because if you know me, you know I move quickly, I do a lot of things. So I'm trying to like purposely slow down so much in life because my body needs that for it not to cause migraines. Not that it doesn't, even when I do slow down, it's still causing migraines, but we're at least giving my body more of what it needs. So I didn't know how much sleep my body would need. And this makes a lot of sense when I met with my physical therapist, and I know these things. It's the interesting thing is sometimes it's hearing from someone else who's an expert and telling you things you already know, which changes the way that you see information in your life. I know that my body needs water, hydration, exercise, sleep, nutrition, all the things to function at its highest level. But when she said it's a brain injury, and I know so much about the brain, I love I think it's Dr. Walker's book, Why We Sleep, one of my favorite books of all time. Actually, that's one of the ones I'm going to include in our future episode on fall reading, Why We Sleep. I think that's going to be a fantastic one. I love the book, Why We Sleep. I love understanding sleep. But when someone tells you you need to be sleeping more than your norm because your brain has gone through an injury and it needs to heal, of course. Okay, so I have changed my entire lifestyle over the last month to try to heal better. I think that's really important when we talk about not just like our last episode of like how to overcome the ups and downs, but tactically speaking, what do you need to do to get better? For me with concussion, that means I needed to change my alarm. My daily alarm goes off at 6:10. Doesn't mean I always wake up at that time, but that's kind of like where my life starts to get going. I am at a solid 8 a.m. right now because my body, and I even still ignore the 8 a.m. and I'm having trouble getting up at like 9 and 10 a.m. because my body is needing between like 9 to 11 hours of sleep to remotely feel functioning. And it's just going through a lot, right? It's healing. It's spending a lot of time in my sleep, healing this injury and trying to get it better. So even though I sleep a lot, I'm now like no meetings before 11 a.m. I used to be no meetings before 9 or no meetings before 10. Now I'm like no meetings before 11 a.m. There's just, I need my body to get as much sleep as possible and working that within the realism of my life, because sometimes it's only going to be 8 or 9 hours of sleep that I can get, but trying to give myself as many 10 or 12 hours of sleep nights as possible is really important to me right now. And of course, hydrating as much as possible. So I've got these massive, massive water bottles. I think it's like 36 ounces. So technically I should only need 2, but just giving your body what it needs, giving it as much water, hydration as it needs to heal. And so a lot of like the therapy that I'm doing currently is I started walking, right? But every time I would start walking, my brain would start, or my migraines would increase more than 2. So I would try to go for a walk for like 5 minutes and then 6 minutes. And it's really hard as someone who's so overperforming everywhere in life to go through the process of needing to really step it back quite a significant amount and take it 10 steps back and not just go for a 20-minute walk, but for a 20-minute walk to be physically painful in your brain. So that's kind of where I've been for the last month. I have been trying to take it slow, building up the amount of time that I'm able to go for a walk. We have like more tests to do to be able to really understand the causes of the concussion in terms of like actually specifics around what areas of the brain we think it is and what specific exercise are going to help me. So a lot of what I'm doing is VOR. Do we want to Google it? I don't know what it's called. Concussion. So while we're looking at it, I'll show you kind of like some of the exercises I'm doing. So having something far away and then going like this for 30 seconds, that's not supposed to cause pain. It causes significant pain for me. Going like this for 30 seconds, doing the same, walking. Because my balance is so off, just standing for 30 seconds with my eyes closed, which makes me wobble a lot, which normally wouldn't. And then doing the same VOR while I'm walking up and down, side to side, 30 seconds each, 3 times a day. VOR are vestibular ocular, VOMS. Vestibular ocular motor screening is a tool to detect signs and symptoms of concussion. And during that, you're supposed to record headache, dizziness, nausea, and fogginess ratings, and what provokes it. And so with traumatic brain injury, there is vestibulo-ocular function, which is impacted. Well, that's most of it. But so it's a lot of like this, and these are things that will, even if you don't have a concussion, will improve your balance and everything like that. So something that you may want to try, even if you don't have a concussion. And then for those of us with concussions, things that are very helpful. I didn't know that you could really pinpoint concussions and different areas that are being affected by it. And so what we do is a ton of tests to see what different effects you have. There's the Buffalo test. I haven't been able to do the Buffalo test yet because you're supposed to be on a treadmill and it not spike it more than two levels with your migraine. But unfortunately for me still, my migraines are really significant. And so it does spike it more than that. So we haven't been able to finish the Buffalo test yet. But those are kind of things that we're working on, just balance, responsiveness, and let me see, I also have a habit tracker. So as soon as she was like, these things are things you need to work on, and by the way, as soon as like I also have all these things, I update my habit tracker. So if I'm ever trying to make change in my life, I update my habit tracker and it tells me like what I want to do in life. So my therapy this week is VOR 60 seconds up, 60 seconds down, side to side. VOR while I'm walking, doing the side to side and up and down 60 seconds each, not back to back, by the way. You're supposed to give yourself rest in between. And your goal is for your pain to subside within 20 minutes. I was in a lot of pain yesterday after my session and it did not subside 20 minutes later. So I have to talk to her about that. And then I'm also supposed to stand like with my legs, my feet, one foot in front of the other, called tandem, and stand that way for 30 seconds and then stand with my eyes closed for 30 seconds and then walk. And then of course, drink water, go to sleep early. We are currently pausing our exercise habit tracker. Eventually I would like to start exercising again, but I just think it's too soon still. So breakfast, I like a little habit tracker to tell me to eat breakfast. I'm really bad at it because I like to just get up and get going, especially because at this point now I'm waking up so late that I feel so behind by the time I wake up. So that's been really challenging for me. And then celery juice and vitamins. I have been taking a lot of vitamins to really help my brain get better. I have to look them up. I will have like a list of them. But there's, I think it's like B12, B complex, B12 is part of the B complex. I think it's vitamin K. is also one of the ones that vitamin D, I think, is also one of the ones that I'm taking for the concussion. Just, I think it's really important to check vitamins bromelain has been huge. So that's really good for inflammation. It's one of the enzymes in pineapples. So check out which vitamins, let's Google. I have like just a drawer of them. Which vitamins are best? Discover the magic of Ethereal Farms, nestled in the heart of the rolling hills and draping forests of Chester County, Pennsylvania's wine country. Our luxury accommodations and tranquil landscapes provide the perfect escape from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Enjoy serene walks among meadows, cozy nights by the fire making s'mores, and unforgettable moments with our friendly farm animals. Plus, it's just next door to our sister farm, Wayvine Winery and Vineyard, where you can enjoy live music, food trucks, and estate-made wines, farm-to-table cocktails, and a curated selection of craft beers. You'll also have access to more than 1,000 acres of hiking. At Ethereal Farms, we believe in the power of nature to inspire and rejuvenate. Plan your getaway today and experience the serenity and charm that only Ethereal Farms can offer. Obviously, do your own research, but I do think that vitamins are really helpful to give your body what it needs. And nutritionally, I'm eating very low sugar, low gluten, low inflammatory foods, foods, because obviously there is inflammation in my brain and we are trying to reduce that inflammation as much as possible. Yes. Okay. Vitamin B2, B12, B complex, vitamin D, antioxidants, vitamin C, E, beta carotene, magnesium, glutathione, precursors such as vitamin C, selenium, B3, and omega-3. I have like a little fatty acid thing too. So cool. So vitamin D is neuroprotective in other ways, and omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, are very helpful for reducing inflammation, concussion, and DHA in fish oil helps build strong, flexible cell membranes in neurons. So I really look into these things as all of the holistic ways that I can help myself, and physical therapy for concussion management has been absolutely incredible. I am astonished how much they know, how much they're able to check and treat and everything. So, how have I been managing 5 businesses on a concussion? It has been rough. It has been so rough. From the memory loss to the consistent migraines, I am like at literally 18% of my typical functioning. And so I'm just trying to give myself a lot of grace. I am very lucky that I have a great team. They have taken up a lot of like support for me, which I'm very, very grateful for. But it has been a huge challenge and something that I have always been very mindful of as I operate my businesses, that they are highly dependent on me. So it is something that I always continue to work towards, is having businesses that are less reliant on me personally, because that will be important for me in the future to be able to get through any times or other things that I go through in life, and be able to make sure that my companies are able to survive beyond me. So however they grow in their world and trajectory, my goal is that they are able to grow and be self-sustaining without me in the best way possible. So that's really my goal for my businesses and how I continue to develop those and be able to navigate both life and business, which is really important to me. So if you've had a concussion, if you are a business owner going through a significant setback, I am here for you. I hope this has been helpful, and be sure to do your own research. Of course, I'm just sharing what I'm going through and what I'm doing to try to get better. But I will say, I think one of the best things that I'm doing is having concussion management therapy, because they know so much about it and they're able to really tailor my progression to what it needs to be, and also give me a reality check that even though I'm so slow and I feel so slow, I need to be even slower, and I need to take even longer to recuperate than I thought would be necessary. So I think it's really helpful to have experts in your corner. I recommend and encourage you to do so, that if you've experienced a concussion. But I hope this has been helpful. Please be sure to like, subscribe, share this episode with your friends so that they can learn about it if they've had a concussion or gone through a major setback. And I will see you in the next episode of the We Grow Together podcast. I'm going to be talking all about lifestyle design for fall. So I'm really excited about that episode, and I will see you there. Take care.